Hello Internet, Lightning Rod here. Been a while, huh? Recently I say recently, but could be months at this point. I don't know when this stuff was released. The trailer for the live-action Halo series came out, and I saw it, and I have some thoughts about it, really, myself. I'm not too pleased about it. I'll go ahead and spoiler alert right here. Lightning Rod doesn't think it looks very good. I was not very pleased with what they showed, because you have to understand, I have a kind of turbulent history with Halo in general. I only played the games middlingly, and when I say I'm a Halo fan, I'm a fan of the books. This is someone who's read, like, the book-based canon of the series. It was actually the books that got me more interested in the games than anything else. For some people, they were really into the games, and yeah, I played them a lot in high school and such with my friends, but I kind of didn't care. Like, whenever I was over at a friend's house, I played through the campaign a bit, because it was kind of fun to do with the time I had, but it wasn't like that's what got me. When I read the books, that's when I became a Halo fan. When I read the books by Eric Nyland, anyway, I'm talking about Fall of Reach, First Strike, and Ghosts of Onyx. When I read those books, that's what really endeared me to the lore, the universe of Halo, and everything. That made it so much more in-depth and interesting. I wouldn't call him Master Chief anymore. I called him John, just because that's his name in the books, you know? And that's what turned me into a Halo fan, is the books, the character, the lore, the world building. Like I said, the books from Eric Nyland. I've read a couple others, and they just don't hit the same. They don't carry the same vibe. I don't know. The ones by Eric Nyland I find are, like, the go-to source material for Halo when it came to the books. So, when I say I'm a fan of Halo, I'm coming from that aspect. Like, and you have no idea, that was like the springboard into everything that was Halo. That got me into the books, that got me into, like, not comics, but like the art books, and just, in general, what carried my interest was what I read about John and his team in the Halo books, and that's where I base a lot of my knowledge of the Halo universe off of. Like, for example, my favorite Halo game is actually Halo Reach. I've got a big old poster of it right there. I loved Reach because of the character, and, well, the gameplay was really good. Thing is, I have to admit that Halo Reach is very inaccurate to canon. The events that they portray in their version of the Fall of Reach are super inaccurate to the book, but I can admit that difference, you know? I like the books way more. I like the events of Fall of Reach, the book, way more than the events that they portray in the game, but it was my favorite game, and I'll get to that reason why in a minute. So, when it comes to Halo, if you play the games first, you're it's a middling first-person shooter, and you just play as a dude in armor who gets a robot lady implanted into him, and, you know, it's there's a lot of background stuff with the Covenant and everything, but it's very straightforward. When you read the books, it's all about character. The way they act with each other, the way they treat each other is very different, and this is why the trailer for the Halo series pissed me off. To me, it looks like utter shit. Because as I'm watching the trailer, the visuals look alright. I mean, the technology seems a little bit advanced for the time that Halo takes place. Humans have pretty advanced technology, but it's very high, like, sci-fi, sci-fantasy almost. But as the trailer starts going on, there's something that they keep mentioning that bothers me. That one of the first things you see Dr. Halsey mention is like, oh, I created the Spartans, they're the strongest and the fastest, and most importantly, controllable.
He's lethal, upgradable, and most importantly, controllable.
Again, to anyone who's even played the games, that's not part of it. They weren't controllable, like, and to anyone who's read the books, that is a massive betrayal. Like, this is borderline, like, fucking flip a table shit. One of the most important things that Halsey, like, insisted on was not having any form of mind control or emotional control or anything, because that would make them drones. Those were robots. She didn't need robots, she needed humans. Humans in the pinnacle of evolution. The strongest, the fastest, the smartest, like, the quickest thinking. she didn't need control. That was something she actively, if I remember, I swear there was a part in the Fall of Reach when they're first creating the whole Spartan program, is some people wanted them controllable, and Halsey insisted, like, correct me on this if I'm wrong, people who've read the book more recently, but I swore that there was someone who wanted to have, like, mind control chips, and Halsey herself insisted, no, because we need them, like, come on, camera. There you go. Halsey insisted no because we needed them with all their faculties, and to control them would take away one of the most important aspects of the human mind, is the ability to think and create on the fly. Like, human ingenuity is something she insisted on. So in the trailer, one of the first things Halsey advertises is that they're controllable? What? And soon after that, like, the miserable excuse for John touches, like, this, highfalutin forerunner technology, I'm guessing, and suddenly he's like, things have awakened inside me, I'm feeling things before, and another Spartan even mentions, like, you're feeling things, they, like, made us forget.
When I touched the object, I felt something. I felt different.
What they did to us makes you numb.
Again, what? Emotional manipulation and dampering? That wasn't a thing in the Halo books. They needed to be as human as possible to be the best soldiers for humanity. That was one of the things I loved so much about the books. They could think, they could feel. The way they interacted with each other was one of my favorite parts of the books. They would crack jokes, like John would do this funny little quizzical head turn when he was confused. They would talk to each other, they had personality. Sure, some throughout the whole Spartan process, I mean, they learned really brutal military tactics and, like, how to fight and kill really efficiently. And in the process, some of them withdrew. Some of them were very quiet or stoic or taciturn. Like Linda, the sniper, for example. She almost never speaks, and that's who she is. But emotional dampening wasn't a thing. The interactions they had between each other were some of my favorite aspects. They were really kind and tender, like almost tender with each other, very much like Lord of the Rings style manly tenderness type thing, you know? They were emotional with each other, they could open up to each other, they respected each other. Like, they were named after Spartans, for goodness sake. If that isn't men loving men and being, like, super bruh about each other, what is? John's best friend, Sam, one of the first Spartans to fall. I remember one of my favorite parts of the book is his armor's been melted through by a plasma shot, and so he can't make the jump back to their spaceship. He's like, if I jump out into, like, into the space, or sorry, into the void of space, his suit would vent and he'd die anyway, so he insists to stay and fight. He might as well take as many of these fuckers out as he can, you know? And John doesn't want to. John doesn't want to leave him. He's like, no. And they almost had to pull him away, and I just remember this really emotional part where John is closing the bulkhead, and as Sam disappears from view, John, like, just fighting to hold back tears, just says goodbye as he closes that bulkhead. Like, these are the kinds of relationships the Spartans had. These are the kinds of emotions they showed. Heck, they're big, like, stomping dudes in dark green armor with a visor, but because the Spartans were so close with each other, they actually, in the books, they actually had a hand sign for smile. Because they wanted to show to each other when they were happy to see each other. Just a little two-finger swipe across the face. God damn it, I love the books. They showed each other when they were smiling. And yet, the series' big point is they don't have emotion. They made us forget emotion. Like, super soldiers lacking emotion. Oh, how very original. Like, that hasn't been done for decades. Like, in sci-fi and anything, really. Like, a super soldier lacking emotion.
What does one do with a superhuman you're not sure you can trust?
The fact that that's what the show is concentrating on is such a betrayal to, like I said, everything that I love about the Halo universe. The characters, the books, the everything. There's another part where John, like, I guess because now he's in touch with emotions, he, like, blocks a shot. I don't know, he saves that girl. And she looks at him and is like, why would a Spartan save me? Holy fuck! What were the Spartans made for?
And you just decided to help me. Why would a Spartan do that?
Again, I hate to have to keep saying this in the books. They were made to fight a rebel faction. They were made to help humans. They happened to be very useful when the Covenant came along, but they were the best humanity had to offer to help other humans. This is an aspect that's also done badly in the games, and it pisses me off so much. John's greatest attribute is not, like they say, he isn't the fastest, he isn't the strongest, and he isn't the smartest. In the books, John's greatest attribute is his bravery. In the games, they turn it into luck, which is equally stupid if you ask me. You're just the luckiest Spartan, that's why Cortana chose you. No, Cortana chose him because he was the bravest. He would throw himself in the line of fire to help others, to help humans, when the odds were seemingly overwhelmingly against him. Not because of luck, but because he was just that... What a thing to fuck up. And that's something, again, I remember playing Halo 3 and that opening where she's like, do you know why I chose you? And I was like, oh shit, here we go. Talk about how awesome John is. Luck.
Luck.
Wow, what a video game stat. Just like fucking quad 9s under luck. Ugh, you get all the golden drops. So fucking dumb. John would throw himself in harm's way to help others. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I swear there's an anecdote that I think Cortana mentions, where John rips open, like, the bulkhead or the door to a Covenant ship that has, like, hostages or something inside, and he just leaps inside himself, completely outnumbered, to just wipe out all the Covenant inside and save the few humans that were on board. The Spartans were made to protect humans. So now they're pointing like this whole big dramatic reveal of, oh, a Spartan saved me, a lowly human. Like, what the fuck?
Hey guys, Lightning Rod here. Recording this in post because, well, in my crazy little rant there, I actually forgot to make two huge points I'd intended to. Note to self, always script. Anyway, one of the points I wanted to go back and mention was that's one reason I like Halo Reach so much. Despite it being very inaccurate and non-canon to the books, like the fact that most of them are Spartan 3s, and Spartan 3s didn't even exist at the time of the fall of Reach, at least I don't think so, and if they did, they certainly weren't on the planet, because they were a side program, not even by Catherine Halsey. Anyway, that one reason I liked Reach so much, despite being so inaccurate, is because the Spartans felt like the Spartans I knew from the books. They were, emotional. They had this kind of chemistry and sense of camaraderie with each other. They felt like people.
This is plasma damage. All major uplink components are fried.
2 minutes is too long.
Which is why I'm splicing into the main overland bundle to get you a direct line to Colonel Holland. You're in my light, Commander.
That's why the majority of the time you see them, they are... Well, I wouldn't say the majority of the time, but many times you see them, especially first interactions with them, they are without their helmets. They don't have their helmets on because you need to see that they are people, humans, real humans with real human emotions and human thoughts and human interactions. And that's one reason I liked the game so much. The way they acted with each other and the way they treated each other felt so human. Except my boy Emil here. He never takes off his helmet because, see, some Spartans were like this. Like, he went down a very dark path. He saw himself in nothing but the armor. He saw himself as the scourge of his enemies, as the embodiment of death, so much that he carved it onto his own friggin' helmet.
Shada.
Shada? Se Potrozonev. Your accent sounds familiar.
Big man forgets what he is sometimes.
She just lost her father. She needs a full psychiatric workup.
She's not the only one.
Lock it down, both of you. Get her on her feet. The body stays here.
Thank you, sir.
See, some Spartans do go down a dark path. Some Spartans do not stay in touch with actual human emotions and become darker killing machines, particularly if I remember from the Spartan 3s, because their program was a lot worse than the Spartan 2 program. Anyway, and see, the way they interacted with each other, the way they spoke to each other, that is one reason I liked Halo Reach so much. From a narrative standpoint, it was a much tighter, much more enjoyable game than the other 3 Halo entries in my mind. You know, the bond, the brotherhood between them all was just so damn likable. That's what made Halo Reach so good. They weren't just soldiers. They weren't just, you know, like, in the heat of combat all the time. You saw much more interaction between them.
Delivery system, us. Solvable? Getting us up there. That and getting our hands on a slip space drive. Thank you for sharing.
So, all we need is orbit-capable transport and the single most expensive piece of equipment made by man.
As a soldier in the field, I couldn't possibly have access to those kinds of resources. That said, a good place to look might be, I don't know, the nearest non-existent launch site and the non-existent Saber program dismissed by 3 administrations as preposterous rumor, and in which our newest member was certainly never a pilot.
You're scary. You know that.
All we need is a green light from Holland.
Good luck with that.
You're the one asking him.
It was so good on that front. The other point I wanted to make here was Cortana. Like, I don't care about her being in a suit instead of just naked robot lady. I don't give a shit about that. What I care about is that it looks like here Cortana is being introduced as like a countermeasure to John finding himself. Like she's an inhibitor of some sort.
What does one do with a superhuman you're not sure you can trust?
Hello, Master Chief. I'm Cortana.
Which again, if you read the books, the AIs that were introduced to the Spartans were to help augment their abilities, to make them the best that they could possibly be, to make them superhuman, They weren't inhibitors, they were exaggerators. They made everything about the Spartans better. They let them think faster, they made them react faster, gave them more scenarios to consider, they made them stronger and faster, because I remember this one awesome part in the book when the program hadn't even been like official yet. It was pretty much a final test to see if the Spartans were a good military asset, and it was a ridiculously difficult test. Pretty much this one competing general set up a crash course for them to have to go through, and one was a live Harrier jet, whatever, and John has Cortana implanted in him at this point and is making it through the crash course, and just like a Harrier jet launches a missile at him, and Cortana taps into John, his everything, his suit, and makes him be able to react so fast, like within milliseconds, that he bitch slaps a rocket right out of the air. It was awesome. So again, it's like the show is being antithetical to everything Cortana was in the books. Cortana was there to make them better. AIs in general were to make the Spartans everything they could be, including, not including, but complementing their emotions, their human thought process. So introducing her as this government double agent inhibitor, also absolutely stupid. Anyway, there we go. That's it.
Why are they even calling it Halo? Why is it even a Halo series? Why not just make your own fucking sci-fi thing about super soldiers with no emotions? Because that hasn't been done before. Yeah, I mean, do your own thing. Call them the Hoplites instead of the Spartans. Have them fighting the Eucharist instead of the Covenant. I don't know, but why? Why take something like Halo, these unique aspects of Halo, because, as I said, actually men in touch with their emotions and super soldiers and capable? What? That hasn't ever been done before, because it hasn't. We all know the emotionless super soldier story. Give us men who are actually in their full faculties and actually care about the people they're fucking fighting with. I'd like to see that. Why take these things? Why take the Halo lore and franchise and change it around so much? If you're gonna manipulate it and change it, do your own thing. This isn't Halo, this is fucking RoboCop with green spray paint on it. RoboCop, the whole thing was him finding his humanity again, finding his heart, his mind, his soul. That was RoboCop. Cool, alright. Why are we getting that again, but with a Halo, veneer slapped on it? It's so bad looking. And yeah, I mean, I shouldn't be surprised. That's TV writing 101 these days. Just pander to what's fucking normal, sell the same thing all over again. Oh, let's make a show about super soldiers. Should we actually make them interesting and capable and actually emotional with each other and supportive? Nah, let's just make them emotionless robots, and when this one touches a cool blue thingy, suddenly he finds out what it is to be human again. Fuck off! Anyway, and that's why I'm not excited for it at all. As I would say a fan of Halo. This series looks terrible. I'm not gonna watch it. Fucking whatever. If you want to watch more bad television, knock yourself out. Like, fucking hell. But yeah, those are my thoughts. When I saw the trailer, all of this came to mind, and it was just like boiling up inside of me, and I had to get it out there. I'm curious if anyone else shares these views too. But if not, fuck me. It's not like I haven't held controversial opinions before. I'm the Lightning Rod, and I'll see you next time I strike. Right, so in case any of you wanted to see the poster I was talking about.